Good afternoon. Phil Lindeman with your Krystal 93 News from Vail Summit Orthopedics and Neurosurgery. I-70 traffic was back with a vengeance this weekend. More than 122,000 cars passed through the tunnels Friday through Sunday. That's up 23% from the previous weekend, up 11% from the same weekend last year. It is the second busiest weekend of the season so far, behind Thanksgiving weekend. Convicted sex offender Indiana Blake of Summit will serve 4 years to life for sexually assaulting 2 girls as young as 9. At least one of those assaults happened in a church basement. The 20-year-old choked up while addressing the court today, promising to improve and apologizing to his victims. The girls were not in court, but their parents were, asking Judge Karen Romeo to give Blake the sentence he deserves and the treatment he needs. Blake's father argues his son was brainwashed. The judge disagreed, and so did Blake. Also in court today was Rebecca Perkins, a local mother accused of kidnapping her 9-year-old son and trying to flee to Mexico with her then-boyfriend. Judge Romeo bumped the case until January. Perkins is not in jail, but in therapy and living with her parents. She is accused of felony custody violation. Perkins' ex-husband, Brian Dean, is moving out of the state soon with their son. Dean reported the kidnapping in September, leading to a brief manhunt and Perkins' arrest at the Mexico border. A snowmobiler was caught, carried, and almost completely buried by an avalanche in the Gore Range Saturday. A report on the CAIC website claims the man was riding Elliott's Ridge near Spring Creek with 2 friends when the slope ripped out from under his sled. He was thrown and deployed his airbag, coming to rest with his head and one arm exposed. He was not injured. Also on Saturday near Coon Hill, west of the Divide, a skier took a ride when an avalanche tore out from under him. He was also partially buried and also not injured. The cause of an early morning home fire in Silverthorne remains unknown. Fire officials are still investigating what happened just before sunrise this past Saturday when a home burst into flames in the Eagles Nest neighborhood. No one was injured and no nearby structures were damaged. The $1 million home was under construction. Dillon Amphitheater just might be the, quote, victim of its own success. That is from a draft report by Denver's Studiotrope design firm. They analyzed crowds, traffic, ticketing, and management there this summer. They recommend one-way traffic in the parking lot and on Lodgepole Street, a roundabout at the marina entrance, plus a wider loading lane for musicians, a new wheelchair ramp on Looker's left, and more seating. Dillon will get their final report in coming weeks. Avalanche danger remains considerable at most elevations in Summit County. Danger is elevated in the Vail area. Conditions will be changing this week with new snowfall. Check the forecast by 5 p.m. daily at avalanche.state.co.us. In sports, 16-year-old Elizabeth Lemley of Ski and Snowboard Club Vail was standing on top of the world this weekend when she won her very first World Cup Dual Moguls title in Sweden. She tells the AP, "It feels awesome. I was just so stoked." Lemley's 20-year-old counterpart on the men's team, Nick Page of Utah, took first in moguls as well, third in dual moguls. That is the first World Cup moguls title for an American man in 6 years. For Alpine, Michaela Schifrin finished second at slalom in Italy yesterday, 5th at GS. In France, the best finish for American men was Vail's own River Radamus, finishing 16th in GS. And in local sports, a pair of local ladies took home the gold at team qualifiers for the U.S. national ski mountaineering team this weekend. On Friday, Jill Seeger of Silverthorne won the women's vertical race at Arapahoe Basin. Then she did it again Sunday, winning the women's individual long course title at the Tour de Basin. On Saturday, Kate Zander of Breckenridge won the women's sprint race at Frisco Nordic Center. She was third at the Tour de Basin. Phil Lindeman with your Krystal 93 News from Vail Summit Orthopedics and Neurosurgery.